Okay, hello everybody. We are live. I'm going to give it a few minutes and wait till it shows up on YouTube because there's always a delay. That's what we always do. It'll come up at some point. Oh, here we go. Oh, we have an ad. And we're up. Okay, hello. Thanks for joining us, everybody. So tonight we are talking about Sanctified by Maggie Blackbird. And you guys, we only have 2 months left of the read-along.
Only 2.
That's wild. I think this is probably the steamiest book we've had so far.
Oh, for sure. I was like...
It was a pretty steamy one.
Clutches pearls.
Yeah. So if you are here, feel free to say hello in the comments. We've got a couple people, and hopefully some more will hop in as we go. All right. So where do you want to start? What did you like overall thoughts? What did you think of this one?
I'm probably gonna give it like a 4-star. Like, it was good. It wasn't 5-star for me. It was definitely like 4.5, but I'll round it down. There's some really good topics that were brought up, and overall I like Raven and Jude together. As far as cohesiveness of like the book itself, I'm just mad that I didn't get resolution, which you said too, that you didn't get resolution. So I think that's why I rated it down, because I'm like, wait, what happened? What?
Yes.
I hate that in a book.
Yeah, no, that was how I felt. I was like, wait, that's it? What? And then before we went live, I looked it up on Amazon, and book 4 is the continuation of their story. So I was like, what? So we want to know what happens and with his wife and everything. Hey, Vicky. Yes, it was definitely a steamy one. For sure. But like also had, a lot of interesting things and character. I really liked the side characters too. I know some of the earlier books follow other relationships. This is book 3 in the series, for anybody who's wondering, but it can be read as like a standalone.
I definitely want to check into those for sure.
Yeah, me too. So far, like, I've been pretty happy with the authors we've read from. They've all been people that I would read from again in the future, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. This is probably a 4-star read for me, partly because I guess I was expecting it to all get wrapped up. I didn't realize that the next book was going to like continue their story. But yeah, I did like it. I'm very, very curious to hear like your thoughts on some of the issues that get brought up. Hello?
Yeah, yes, like when I looked at it and it said the Matter Weapon Family 3, I was like, oh, okay. And then was slightly curious about who was before, but I think I will definitely go back and get some of the other ones just so I can catch up.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, no, I would too. Yeah, same. I thought it was interesting, like the intrigue, and
because there's a lot more intrigue than, I guess, than what usually happens in a tribal council thing like this.
Oh, interesting.
Like this was extra drama.
Okay. So what would be more typical? I mean, that's not shocking that a book would like make it more melodramatic, but
well, it's just kind of like any other election. Like we put in names, like where at my tribe they put in names for different sections, so it's not all quite cut and dry. And then when it comes to like who they elect, like they're pretty clear cut on who they want for their thing. And so then it's not as dramatic as this. It's just like they go in and people vote, and then boom, it was extra sprinkling drama on there.
Yeah,
which I did enjoy. Like of all the things I've read with like an election involved, This is good.
Yeah. Hi, Shannon. Yeah, no, I think it's interesting because I mean, but you have like a family feud, right? I mean, like, and I thought this was really interesting. I'm super curious to hear your take on it, but I thought it was so interesting the friction of like the traditionalists who think like we shouldn't have anything that's like white or Catholic or whatever versus the other side that I don't know, like I thought that was really like those conversations were really interesting.
Yeah, and that is actually really accurate in terms of so I mean, not quite where I'm from, that they are, I mean, they're mostly Catholic, but I have like certain family that are 100% traditional. They don't like the whole Catholic, they don't really like religion thing. And I'm not really religious either, but like my family practices Catholicism. And so like this brought up really interesting issues that I'm like, yes, I experienced that, like the
Hmm.
friction of, you know, the A word and people saying things to you that um kind of really get you down inside. And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it seems hard and it seems complicated, like just based on reading this, because it's like on the one hand, you certainly like you see the side of, yeah, like a lot of harm was done and has been done by the church, and also like a lot of harm had been done by like colonizing people and stuff. But at the same time, like you see people who were, you know, I don't know, they had to like also because she had like misconceptions about what he would be like because he was Catholic and thought that he would be like this something that was more like that he wasn't. And it seems like it's trying to show that like you can maybe still be uh I don't know, the way it read to me is like that you can still have your culture as important to you, even if you like believe other things spiritually. Um
Yeah. And that's really apparent, especially considering the events of what the residential schools and the bodies that have been they just found, what it was, at 700 today or this week sometime. And so this is like, you see a lot of different like common themes of what the residential schools have done, and like what Catholicism says, and what
yeah.
like pastors and deacons and things like that have said. And then you read this and you're like, I've heard that. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that like for some of the characters it's not necessarily one thing or the other, um but like but I don't know, like the characters, at least in this book, seem to be more about being true to whatever it is you believe. um
mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, and Raven definitely
Oh
was
my
like,
god, wow, Francesca.
yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it is awful. Yeah, jeez.
And then with Raven, she definitely noticed that too, like the differences and the similarities between the religions, and learning how to be more accepting.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, it's interesting too how it goes back to their parents, all of the like, and you see like the different ways that they responded to being in the similar situation. Um, like when they end up talking about how his dad and her mom had dated, and like, uh, yeah, like that whole thing was just wild. So it's like her response to getting hurt and also the trauma of what she experienced was like, I want nothing to do with that. I'm angry and like I'm not gonna let go of it. And he sort of like, I don't know, like ended up becoming very Catholic, but didn't necessarily always deal with all of his issues. I don't know. It was just like interesting, like seeing how people can respond differently to.
Yeah, recovery and healing is definitely a
Mhm.
common theme in this book, and probably a common
Yeah.
theme in the entire series. But yeah, there were parts in here that I too, like, you know, like um the way that Raven and like other kids have suffered through intergenerational trauma, through what happened to their family or their parents and things like that. Like my mom went through something similar at a boarding school here in South Dakota, and it's definitely what's the word? It's definitely like very true to life, the way that certain things come out, and like the way that certain parents or people act.
Yeah.
Whereas some people like Jude's dad, where he made his peace with it and kind of swept it under the rug. That's kind of like the same way my mom did it, and versus, you know, Arlene, where she just is angry and toxic to her family.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's hard, right? Because like it's this weird balance. Well, and I think a lot of what Raven ends up coming to with like all her recovery stuff is this weird balance of like people are responsible for themselves and like how they choose to respond to stuff, but at the same time, like understanding like where so much of that is coming from, you know, that like it doesn't come out of nowhere, and it's not like, you know, her mom is not like,
and you can only tolerate so much of it though too.
yeah. Well, and I appreciate that it was like about setting healthy boundaries with family, you know, like she like does as much as she can, but like when it's too much, she says, okay, I have to set like what is a healthy and safe boundary for myself, which you have to do. I mean, like with anything, I think to like move on. And I think even, you know, outside of just outside of even just being Indigenous, like people in general, right? Like I think a lot of us have experienced things where, you know, you have to decide like what your boundaries are so that you can like move forward in a healthy way for yourself and for your kids. And I don't know.
Yeah, especially when it comes to trauma and healing and recovery. I like the fact that that a lot of like the stuff with like 12-step and like traditional teachings was put in there, because Lakota people do have like their own set of teachings and things like that, and then you have like AA, recovery type things that are thrown in there, and I really appreciated that, because I feel like there's a big stigma when it comes to alcoholism and issues with drugs and narcotics, that, you know, certain people only see Native peoples a certain way, and Raven challenges that, and Maggie did a really good thing with putting that in there, that it's not all cut and dry.
Yeah. No, I appreciated that. Well, I also like too that there's not like shame around her past about, you know, whether it was like having with the addiction, with like the sex work, that it's like, that's the past. Who are you now? Like, what choices are you making now? And like, I think that's amazing.
Yeah. And I think that everyone was really accepting, aside from, I mean, obviously Clayton. I wanted to punch him in the face.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Clayton was not nice.
No, he was not. No. Yeah. Whereas I loved like Daryl and Emery. They were, I mean, and they had their own things to deal with too, you know, with the stuff that came out about Daryl's past, and like it was just good, like all the focus on communication through relationships and like honesty, and I really love all of that.
Yeah, it was great. I wish that things between Emery and Daryl had been resolved, but maybe we'll see that in book 4. I don't know.
I know. Now I'm like, man, I guess I need to like get the other books because I don't know what else is gonna happen. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Didn't like him either. Yeah, he was not great. Yeah, I thought that was really interesting, the sweat lodge ritual. It's like, I mean, I think it was interesting, the comparison that they made between that and like going to confession, these ideas, there's different like modes of sort of spiritual cleansing and value to those things. I thought it was an interesting
yeah, it was
take
definitely
on it.
interesting to read about, because I've always heard about it. I've never been in one. I've never been through that or anything, but I've heard of people that have, and yeah, that part was good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool. She's just like, this is who I am, this is what I do, these things are important to me, and like prayer and whatever, you know, whatever it is that she does, she just does it. And I think too, I appreciated like a lot of the conversations that need to happen in like early relationships, right? With the addiction stuff of like, oh, like, are you going to have a beer or are you going to have orange juice? And like, how does that, you know, like when they're at the hotel and stuff like that, where it's like, yeah, like that stuff's important, right? Like that you are surrounded by people who are supportive of your recovery. That's huge.
Yeah, like that part with Bridget, and she was making the joke, and I was like, wait, what's going on here? I did not like the fact that there, like, Bridget was just slightly very not feminist.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get that she was kind of trying to be like protective of her brother, but like I was like, come on, give it. I mean, she like it didn't take long for her to come around though, which but yeah.
Yeah, I think that was part in due because of Adam, because Adam was like, hey.
Adam was cool. I think book 2 is about them. Yeah, no, it was kind of nasty, like the stuff of like you're gonna air somebody's dirty laundry in public, like surprise them, like that was kind of like, ooh.
That was that was pretty awful.
Yeah, and the mom was pretty awful too, honestly, about stuff where she was like, they deserve it and all that. I was like, whoa.
Okay. But the thing is that there are people that think like that. There are people that are really just. It felt a little bit like not because it's a tragedy or anything, but just like a little bit of like forbidden love, forbidden romancy.
Yeah.
Type.
Yeah.
Romeo
Well, definitely.
and Juliet-ish, but not Romeo and Juliet because they're not teenagers.
Right. But like forbidden love because their families are feuding. Yeah, no, it definitely had that. I think that's probably part of why I picked it initially, because I was like, this sounds like a fun trope.
Oh yeah, it was a great trope. It was great.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, like I was reading it and I was like, what did they do that was so bad?
Yeah, I wonder if we find out more about it in other books, but like it sounds like, I mean, it sounds like a lot of it actually goes back to the dad cheating on their mom when they were teenagers, like the one family dad having cheated on the mom, and then him like getting involved with the Catholic Church and her being mad about that. Like it sounds like that was almost maybe the root of where it all started, and then it like drew in all of these other issues, possibly.
Yeah, because I'm like, am I missing something? Did they explain this earlier? It's just kind of like,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seemed like it was a combination of that and like
the
Raven's family,
traditionalism.
right? The traditionalism, just like not wanting. Well, and I think they were also angry because some of the funding for the church was coming from their band.
Yeah.
So I think they were upset about that too, which I get. I mean, honestly, like fair.
Yeah.
not want to be funding that. So
yeah, I definitely agree with that. I did like how she wanted to get the the diner, and then how they were taking money from the diner and then putting it back into like recovery homes and things like that. That was interesting. I wish they had done a little bit more with that.
Yeah, that was what they wanted to do. I thought it was cool. It was interesting how much red tape there was, and it made me wonder, it made me realize I don't know a lot about how all that stuff works on reservations, but they talked, and maybe it's different in different places, but they talked about all the stuff of like how hard it is to build and get building loans, and like it's intense.
Yeah, because that was something that we saw too with Heartbeat Braves.
Yeah,
that was in there too, because it is, red tape is, it's like unreal. Like when I was trying to get college loans, just to get that, I had to give them my enrollment number, and I had to fill out these paperwork, and by the end of it I was like, I don't need it.
Wow. Yeah, it's intense. Yes, a little bit like Romeo.
Yeah, that's when I was thinking star-crossed. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would be curious. Um, I don't know. I mean, it just made me wonder, like, realize, like, I probably should learn more, but like, it made me wonder about like how all the political stuff works, where like who has authority to do what things on reservations. Like, I don't know. It was interesting because I was like, wow, this is like, it seems very like really complicated.
Yeah, part of it is complicated for sure. I don't really know a whole lot about it, but from what I do know, yeah, it is complicated.
Yeah. Interesting. What happened to Raven's father? Yeah, I don't know what happened to Raven's father. Did we?
Wasn't he an alcoholic or something?
Maybe. I don't remember, honestly. I don't remember.
I don't know.
I don't know about that. But let's see, other things.
Who would you say is your favorite character?
Oh. I mean, I don't know. Who is my favorite character? I like Emery. He seems really sweet. I liked all the characters. Adam's like super chill and laid back and like grounded, which I thought was cool. I don't know. Well, yeah. What about you?
Raven was my favorite character.
Okay.
Because she says in the book when she first meet Jude, like I can get mean. I can be a mean person. And I was like, yes, finally. We challenge that where every girl doesn't have to be nice and super soft spoken and sweet.
I liked that too.
Because the whole thing where she was like, I can get mean if I want to, and I'll tell you exactly how I think. And I'm like, this, because there's this whole stereotype where like Native girls have a whole like resting bee face, and I'm just like, that's true, but like I cannot tell you how many times I'll be like at a holiday thing and somebody comes up to me and I'm just thinking about something and they're like, geez, what upset at you? Did somebody say something to you? And I was like, what? And they're like, you look like you want to kill someone. And I was like, no, this is just my face. Like I'll just be staring off into the distance and no smile, nothing. Just...
It's like smile more. No, it's like, ugh, no thanks. Oh, is this what happens? Maybe. You might be right. I'm not sure. Yeah, no, I liked that too. I liked Raven. She's just like unapologetic about who she is. Okay, one thing that I thought was kind of funny in this book that I was like, really, is there's a moment early on when they get together where he's like noticing her makeup and like her contour and stuff, and I was like, please, what man is gonna, like, if he doesn't do makeup himself, he's not gonna notice. He'll just be like, yeah, you look nice, there's some color there. Like, he's not gonna notice. Like...
And then he was talking about like the awkward comparisons between him and his ex-wife and like how they looked, and I'm like,
yeah,
there were a lot of scenes where he was like describing her butt, and I'm like, we've already
her fake eyelashes. Okay.
We've already heard about this 50 times, Jude. We don't need it anymore. We know what she looks like.
Yeah. I just thought it was really funny, like the whole scene where he was like telling her like what he like noticing all these things about her makeup, and I was like,
nobody's got time for that.
No. It's like the only men who would notice in that detail like what exactly she did with her makeup would be men that do makeup themselves, like which she does not. So I'm like, okay.
Or guys that have sisters.
Maybe, but even then, like, it was so detailed. I don't remember exactly. I mean, they might notice like a little of like, oh yeah, like the color looks nice on you or something. But like, are they really going to be like, oh, the shading of like?
Yes, and see, Jude is painted as such like a manly man, so I'm like, when do you have time to go look at models on Instagram, bro? Like,
You've been watching some makeup tutorials on YouTube.
In between teaching, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But they definitely
Oh
did
man.
a good job, like painting exactly how like swanky he was, about
Mhm.
the whole mahogany table and all of this is gonna have
Mhm.
to go in storage. And I'm like, no.
Yeah. I was like, oh wow, okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know any. I don't know any native that's that fancy. I really don't.
Well,
Wherever they are.
I was also wondering about like, really, you're making six figures as a principal of a high school, elementary school?
Unless it's a private school, that I
Yeah,
could
I
see
think
that
it was. I
maybe.
mean, I think it was a private school. I guess
Especially if it's like a
maybe.
Catholic private school.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. Okay.
But then he was really right about the whole like band housing is really small because like it is like super tiny.
Mm,
Yeah,
interesting.
and it is really difficult to get a house too because it depends.
Huh. That's yeah, like well, and it seems like it goes back to like making it being hard to build. So, I mean, it makes sense then that you would have like housing shortages.
Well, also because depending on what's in the community, like in where my grandmas all lived, like um there was a house next to my grandma's house and it was really nice. And then some people went that moved in there, they had they were addicted to narcotics, and with meth you have to like get rid of everything, so they had to like do stuff to the house. And then at some point they like boarded up the house and like nobody lives there. And so like there's a lot of places like that where it just ends up becoming nothing. And then so yeah, it and then there's all this kinds of criteria and stuff that they have to look into for somebody to be able to get a house. And then the ground is really hard to dig into, and so that just leads to like the building shortages, like said in the book.
Yeah. Wow. That's hard. I don't know. Yeah, like I don't know what the solutions to
I wish it was a better solution.
Mhm. Yeah. Interesting. Um, other things we want to talk about with this? I think we mentioned briefly it was very steamy.
It was incredibly steamy. I'm not gonna lie, there were a couple moments that I was like, that is like some of it is worded awkwardly. Like there's certain scenes where you're like, you wouldn't, that's not how you do that. You don't touch that there. No. Or like certain words that are used like repeatedly, and I'm like, no. But yeah, I think it was like page 100, and then they starting the jangling, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's like that, just like in the car, okay.
Yeah.
Tell me nobody saw them, even
I
if you're
mean,
parked
it was
way
like
out
dark in
yonder.
the woods. I think they like drove into the woods at a campsite. So, I don't know, but yeah, you would think. Yeah, I did think it was interesting. Like they did a pretty good job of uh somewhat realistically working around him having kids and like that they could only be together like certain times. That was interesting. I was like, yeah, like if you have kids, like that's
Well, it was easier for him because he's a dad. Now, if he was a
right.
mom, be a lot more. I feel like it would be a lot more difficult, for sure. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'm not gonna lie, I was low key really sad that he was like, yeah, I got a vasectomy, and I was like, no babies, come on.
They can be reversible, which it makes me wonder, like if you know,
I feel
uh,
like he would get one for her just by the way that
yeah,
they. I don't think that she'd be ready for it right away because
no,
she seems like somebody that would be like, no, I don't want one right now. But
mm-hmm.
eventually, because I remember she did kind of like make references to that of like, oh, he doesn't want a family with anybody, so what's the point?
Right, Yeah, she mentioned that. I wonder if that'll come up in the next book.
Yeah, because I wish that part would have been resolved, because I know he probably would try to get a reversal or do something that he could.
Yeah. I do appreciate, though, having a guy on page who got a vasectomy. Like, that should be normalized, honestly. Like,
because a lot of guys are like, I don't want to do that.
It's like not that big. Yeah, look, I mean, here I was like, I had 2 C-sections. You can do something. You can do something. Like,
snip, snip, get it done.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a pretty simple like outpatient procedure. It's not like invasive.
For a man, it's super simple. For us, it's an entire whole thing.
Yeah. Like it should be a thing. You know, they do. I heard somewhere that in India they do drives sometimes where they'll do payments or something to men who get vasectomies to like try to encourage them to do it.
Why can't they do that in the US? There's some dudes that don't need kids.
I mean, I've heard people suggest it. Cover it then. Yeah. I mean, I love how the entire thing takes place in winter. They're talking about like snow.
And this is on the beach. And I'm like,
it's like on the beach.
Okay.
Like, yeah. Like, I feel like this would probably be them the next summer after this. Like, this is probably what she would wear if it was summer, but
yeah. I'd say fallish because they're still orange, like on so yeah.
Yeah, but still, yeah, this is definitely not what they were doing because it was like freezing and
this was a very
snowing.
Cozy, steamy winter romance.
Yes.
Emphasis on steam.
Yeah, definitely steamy. For sure. A good bit of that. Yeah, it was fun. Although, you know what I noticed that I thought was kind of funny is the publisher is Ecstasy Books. like, okay.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna have to check into that. Like,
yeah, it's probably like a small, you know, a self-publishing like company or something. But I just thought that was funny. Yeah, but I really liked it. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty good. I
really kind of just want to know who won and like.
I know, and the deal with his ex-wife, like we had that phone call from the ex-wife. Who knows how that's getting resolved? I guess you have to read book 4 in the series to find out.
Yeah, I don't want that to be bumped up to, oh, she just had too much wine. But it's like, no, there's real feelings there.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like she clearly wants him back, and he hasn't told Raven about any of it. So that's going to be a problem. Because, like, honesty is a big deal for her. And he hasn't told her.
Yeah, she would be mad. Well, more so hurt than mad, but definitely mad. Like, hurt first, then mad.
Yeah, for sure. Trying to think. Other.
I liked the discussion that Jude had with his kids about, you know, between friendship and like, your mom has a male friend named Steven.
Right.
And like explaining what happens after a divorce and how they're not going to get back together and like, Miss Catabe is my friend. Right.
Well, but no, she's not going to be like living with us. She's not going to, you know. Yeah. No, I thought he was good. He was like a good dad. He did the best he could in a rough situation, I think.
And he was being really good about it because he was really angry and hurt too.
Yeah. And he was trying really hard to be kind to his ex-wife and like work with her so that they could. That was great too. Because I mean, honestly, like that's the best case scenario. If you have kids in a divorce, like being amicable and not saying nasty stuff to the kids about each other, like that's really how you should handle it. That's the best possible.
Yeah, because it gets divorce and kids get so ugly.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, they shouldn't be put in the middle of like, yeah, their kids. So yeah, I thought that was really good. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was pretty solid.
Yeah, I also like the relationship between Jude and his dad, and how Jude's dad like explained things that happened, and how he didn't have any regrets, but like I really love that little the show of being able to be strong and yet masculine, and like
Mm-hmm.
opening up about feelings, because a lot of the times like some men just don't open up about their feelings. I like that part.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Like the sensitive side of it and how it's important to open up and communicate to have a healthy relationship, and you're going to push people away and hurt people if you don't. Yeah. That was good.
Yeah, it was overall a good time. I'm not gonna lie,
Mm-hmm.
it was a little intimidating just because of like the size of the text, but like because it's huge. The text is huge.
Yeah. I mean, it makes it easy to read though. I don't know. I thought like, but yeah, it makes the book look longer than it is. Like it didn't actually, it was like not that bad. I liked it. I'd be interested in at some point reading the other books and seeing what else happens. It was good.
Same, because I feel like I'm missing something.
I know. I want to know more. Anybody in the chat have any thoughts, things they want to talk about? How did you guys like the book if you read it? Let us know. It's one of these things too where I feel like it would be, I wish we could have gotten like somebody from this background to talk to, like
Yeah, that would have been
from
nice.
an OG boy. Yeah, like if that would have been interesting, but we tried. It's
We
hard.
did try.
Everyone's busy. I think we should have maybe one or two more people next month, but which I guess I'm not seeing any comments coming in, which I will mention next month. We are doing a historical book, Her Land, Her Love by Evangeline Parsons Yazzie. If you want to join us, the live discussion for this will again be the last Thursday night of the month. And this one's probably going to be more intense. It's like got a romance at the center of it, but it's much more historical fiction. So yeah, the first novel in a sweeping epic of a determined Navajo family's efforts to persevere during the long walk that blends history, romance, conflict, culture, and family. But yeah, this is what we're going to be reading next month. Too steamy. Yeah, I mean, I think this just depends on what you like. Like, some people really like a lot of steam, others don't. I don't mind it. Like, I like a variety of steam levels in my romance, so it was
I
fine.
personally
But
loved it. Me personally,
awesome.
because
I love it.
I feel like there should be emphasis on what happens in that part of romantic relationships in
Mm-hmm.
books. And so then when I read a book and it's just fade to black and I don't see that like
Mm-hmm.
way of connecting in, because like that part is important too. It's not just about the romance or like how they treat each other, because it's like you want a partner that treats you nicely, but then
Mm-hmm.
also when it comes to that part in your relationship, that they should also treat you the same way, in the way that you want to be treated, and like you treat them the way they want to be treated. And so like
Yeah.
that part's also important, aside from the
Yeah.
non-genuine.
I agree with that. Well, because I think you see like caring and consent and like all of those things like are important. So I agree. No
Thanks,
worries,
Beth.
Beth. Thanks for showing up. Hey, Charles. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm glad I read it. And I hope we're at least sort of introducing people to some other authors that are out there that they could read from, that
Yeah,
maybe
I
you
feel
wouldn't
the
have known
same
about.
way because when it comes to different types of romance, like I have a whole little, the smallest section ever. But then, now that because of this, I'm reading a lot more things I probably would have never picked up before.
Yeah, which I think is cool. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think a romance has to be a lot more than that, but I do think that, a well-written, if it's well done, like do think steamy scenes can add to the development of the relationship, but yeah. Fair. Yeah. And I think we had a lot of that. Like it is quite a lot of steamy scenes. So depending on what you're used to or what you like, but I felt like this had a lot of good character development and other plot things that were happening. But yeah.
Yeah, I wish resolution would have been just a little bit better, but yeah.
Yes.
Otherwise, this was good.
Because I just assumed, I thought it was all, because I knew the first two books followed other characters, so I assumed that each book was about a different couple. But no, they apparently need two books. I mean, they do have a lot of stuff to work through, but like, yeah.
Yeah, it was the last this much of the book where I was just like, wait, what?
Yeah. I was like, we're done already? What? Wait. What else? Like, not everything is resolved yet. Yeah. Yeah, I think they're pretty good. When did this come out anyway? I was like, long ago, 2019. So yeah, it's like relatively recent. And she's got quite a lot of books.
Was better.
Yeah, I mean it is hard because if you're self-published, you have to design or pay for somebody else to design your book cover. But yeah, yep, be good. Whereas I think next month, like this one is not self-pub; it's an indie press, so it's a small publisher, Selena Bookshelf, but it is like professionally designed and stuff. So anyway, yeah, two books to go, guys.
Come to you.
Which one? This one?
Yeah.
It took me a while. It took a while. Like I think it was maybe back ordered. It's but that, I mean, I got it a while back. It took like 3 weeks maybe. It depends on if they're in stock when you buy them though, I think.
Yeah, that's true. I'm probably going to get mine to go on my tablet.
Cool. This one came out in 2014. So it's been out for a while. Yeah. Yes, same. Yeah. Agreed, Francesca. Yeah. So we got 2 more books, guys. Her Land, Her Love, her historical next month, and then finishing up in August with a paranormal romance, which should be very fun. Yeah.
Paranormal romances are always fun.
Yeah. I love it.
Because there's always an appropriate amount of steam and cheese.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. We get some shifters. I think it'll be fun. It'll be a good one. So definitely join us for those. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything else? I can't think of anything else that I wanted to talk about with this, but
I can't really think of anything either because we brought up the residential schools. We brought up other stuff, the toxic family stuff.
Yeah. Oh, somebody had a question. Hold on, let me. The August book, I don't have it on me at the moment, but let me grab this. It's called Abandon by Wanika Fazekas. So it is, if you're looking for it, it should be, let me double check this. I think, Okay, if you look for the announcement video on my channel, all of them are. You should be able to search for it. The Indigenous Romance Readalong announcement video. All the books are linked in the video description, so you can find that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, paranormal romance is fun, definitely. Yes, so all of those are linked there, and yeah, join us for the next couple months. Fun.
It's gonna be a good time.
Okay, yeah. All right. Well, I think we're gonna keep this short and sweet for 45 minutes. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. Join us next month. Last Thursday of the month. We will be back. Have a wonderful evening.
Bye.
Bye.